Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show, a podcast exclusively designed to create more reproductive health awareness and discuss your fertility preservation options. Here is your host, the Harvard-educated fertility specialist, Dr. Amy.
Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show. I'm so delighted to have my friend Mary Wong on today. Hi, Mary.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
We're going to talk about how acupuncture and Eastern medicine can help you thrive on your pathway to pregnancy. Mary is the best-selling author of Pathways to Pregnancy. In acupuncture since 1993, she combines Western and Eastern medicine in her approach to working with patients, and she's the founder and CEO of Alive Holistic Health, which is a leading wellness clinic in North America that has helped over 10,000 people overcome health challenges. She's a highly sought-after international speaker and has shared the stage with renowned personalities like Barack Obama, Malcolm Gladwell, and Deepak Chopra at talks at Google. As a traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, practitioner with over 30 years of experience and former infertility patient who had her own baby through IVF, Mary co-created My Fertology. It's an inspiring podcast that supports the fertile spirit from preconception to menopause. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here.
Mary, thank you for sending your book to me. I had so much fun reading it. The personal stories were so inspiring. I see patients all day long, and they just inspired me to just do better, be better for patients who are just working so hard to reach their goals. Can you tell us about the book and what inspired you to write it?
I wrote this book because I was inspired by my patients, because when I was going through fertility challenges, guess what? It's typically a very private journey. And even when you walk into a fertility clinic and there's like a gazillion people in the waiting room, you still feel super lonely and people don't really talk. So I wanted to create this book to help people's pathway to pregnancy, no matter where they're at, no matter what kind of symptoms or diagnoses they have, because you need that inspiration. And so I chose people that inspired me. There's 15 stories, one of which is my own. I thought, gosh, if I get inspired by that, I need to share people's stories. So you that are watching and listening, you can get inspired and have hope and have inspiration so that you can persevere the journey. And one thing I did say also in the book is that, we cannot be in the way of ourselves, and we cannot let other physicians or other holistic healthcare practitioners be our limitations to our lives and our well-being, because sometimes miracles do happen and we are surprised. So don't let anybody stand in the way of your journey.
Well, let's talk about your background a bit, because you're bringing together a couple of ways of approaching medicine, Western and Eastern. Can you tell us about traditional Chinese medicine for those who are not familiar with it?
TCM stands for traditional Chinese medicine. In modern day, they may even say East Asian medicine, because all over the world now they utilize this modality, and it stems from Taoist roots. And if you know anything about Taoism, it's all about living in harmony with nature and your environment. And it comes from over 3,000 years. So it's a really wise old medicine. But bringing it to modern day, we incorporate lifestyle and diet and exercise. So traditional exercises would include Tai Chi and Qigong, which are what I call moving meditations, which is very helpful for many of the people that are type A personalities. So it's difficult to sit down for more than 2 minutes at a time. Now, that all you can do on your own. When it comes to acupuncture, Chinese herbal medicine, cupping, gua sha, those kind of modalities require a TCM physician. So we are there to help you get through your life. And by the way, I know that this is specifically speaking to fertility, but really Chinese medicine is about health and longevity and proactive health care. So even when you do fertility treatment, it's like we take care of all of you in mind, body, and spirit.
You are spot on with what you're sharing. While my patients, we're thinking about improving their fertility, but as they're going through acupuncture treatments, they feel less nauseous. They feel less fatigued. They recover better after their egg retrieval. Once they're pregnant, they also feel better, less depressions. And I always tell people, just try it once and see, and make sure you're working with someone that you feel really comfortable with, and just give it a try.
I love that. And it's so true, right? Because every personality is different. And I think you are a total rock star and you are a different breed. A lot of physicians may not have the kind of time that you put into it, the compassion and the empathy and your ability to listen, it's lacking, unfortunately. The time is so constrained that even with the doctors with the best intentions, there's a lack of time to really give that care. And with acupuncture, with a person that really listens, it provides great value. And a part of our way of working with patients through asking questions, so very in depth. So, what it looks like is like you literally might be sitting down for an hour for a first consult. And to get the whole mental, emotional, physical, even social background, the lay of the land beyond the physicality and your health history there. And also, we look at it differently in terms of, again, this 3,000-year-old art. It's not modern medicine where we have these diagnostic technological tools. We had to be able to look into the body slightly differently. And when acupuncture is utilized, when we put acupuncture needles in on specific sites, it can trigger the brain to release endorphins. And what we know that is that endorphins provide this lovely relaxation response. And by doing so, we're also increasing blood flow to the pelvic cavity, your ovaries, your uterus, fallopian tubes, and for the males, it's to the testes. And we, as you also utilize this term, we want to make everything juicier, better.
How did your background in TCM play a role in how you approached IVF and your own fertility journey?
I was born in the Netherlands, grew up in Canada, and I had the full intention of going to med school. I wanted to be a psychiatrist. And second year university, my grandmother fell ill and she was 86 at the time. And they doctors at the hospital, they gave her 2 weeks to live. So we brought her home and we thought, gosh, like my brother, who was the one who said, hey, we're Chinese, maybe we should try Chinese medicine. So we then did that, and I was given the task. I drove her to Chinatown every single week, and within 3 months, she made a spontaneous recovery. She lived another 8 years. So in that summer, I thought, oh my goodness, why did she slip through the cracks of this kind of medicine? I need to be a person that will help provide access, will help educate so that people will have an informed choice to make the decision that they need for their health and for their vitality. And there's no turning back. And so, how I approach IVF for my own journey was that I had no clue that I was going to have fertility challenges. And I didn't find out I had infertility diagnosis until I had a HSG, which is a X-ray in the reproductive area, and they found that I had not only blocked fallopian tubes but fluid-filled blocked fallopian tubes that was irreversible. And so what I had to like realize was, holy cow, I am not immune to life's challenges. And that was tough because in the natural field, of course, my thinking was, I'm going to do it all natural, especially when both my grandmothers were 46 having babies naturally. So I thought it was going to be a slam dunk until it wasn't. And so I had to grudgingly surrender to IVF, but I very, very quickly switched my tune and thought, gosh, I am so grateful. And this is what IVF is for. And I get to be my own science experiment and I can report back to my patients what to do.
And then how have you seen acupuncture support fertility treatments and fertility patients?
It's a great question because here's the thing, you can support patients on their journey no matter where they're at, whether they're thinking about it for one day in the future to in the crux of it, in their deep IVF cycles. And what we've seen is that through different kinds of research, it has a place whether you're trying to create the little follicles to become embryos to embryo transfers. So helping the uterine lining be thick and juicy.
And do you think that patients actually need their physician's permission to do acupuncture?
What I always encourage is to have transparency. What I do know is this: about 50% of people that do IVF will seek out people that do acupuncture. And whether they tell their physicians or not, that's a whole different story. And in Canada, most physicians don't have that on their radar and they forget. I think it's important for people to recognize that it's okay to tell them. But if you're worried, maybe you can suss them out and just actually begin with a question like, what do you think of acupuncture? Should I try? And then you'll know. Then you might want to do it and on your own if that's what you choose to do.
So, for all the fertility specialists, whether you're a doctor, a nurse, or another acupuncturist, what do you wish they knew about acupuncture and other services if they're not yet encouraging patients to explore these offerings during fertility treatment?
If you are a doctor or a practitioner or a nurse or anyone that come into contact with patients doing fertility treatment at fertility clinics, you need to know that patients are doing this. So I think it probably serves you and your clients better by actually having some knowledge and perhaps redirecting patients, because who does the acupuncture also matters. And there's a lot of people will that hang a sign on the door and say, I'm a fertility acupuncturist, and they may not necessarily have the right training. So, what you need to do is say, okay, maybe you need to find a licensed acupuncturist in the US, if a registered traditional acupuncturist in Canada, and where the people will have 3 years plus of training.
And there are doctors that are just so into the studies and cold, hard facts. What data can you share about how it improves outcomes for anyone who might be looking for those kinds of things?
You had a guest, Dr. Lee Hollander Rubin, on a while back, and she really spoke to this quite articulately. But what we know is this: the research is variable, but it really is trending towards that. Yes, acupuncture can make a difference. And the reason why I say this is that when we compare acupuncture to a control group that is not doing anything, so just the regular IVF care, versus someone that does acupuncture with IVF care, we are seeing results. We are seeing more statistically significant results where acupuncture can increase live birth rates, up to 16, 20% or more.
Well, what I say is if you make your acupuncture appointment and then you look forward to it, you know it's helping you because you know it's decreasing your anxiety. It's improving like your quality of life. It's helping you sleep perhaps, and it's making you feel more zen as you're going through something that can be quite gnarly a lot of the time. So then I would say that to me is a definition of it working if you're feeling listened to and cared for in a different way. It may not help with live birth rates. It may not increase egg quality, but it could help one person feel more supported. And I think that that has great value.
If we are going through IVF and we're so anxious and we can barely function, then how can we keep going? You do one and you're done, or you have a miscarriage and you're done. It's like, oh my gosh, I give up. Versus if you're in this relationship with this practitioner that really listens to you and acknowledges your pain and is there for you and holds your hand and guides you through this. Acupuncture itself does increase endorphin release, which stimulates that relaxation response. It helps with sleep, it helps relaxation, it increases blood flow to your ovaries and uterus and testes. So all of those things can only be beneficial, and you're 100% right. Does that mean it's going to totally help your egg health? Maybe, maybe not. Right? We don't know. But there's so many benefits. So we can see it in terms of endorphin release, but we also see through Doppler ultrasounds that the blood volume does increase and blood sugars gets moderated. And I'll tell you, in clinic, I see this all the time when people have like irregular menstrual cycles, especially if they have something like PCOS. We can help to induce ovulation and we can help to regulate menstruation, which if you're trying to conceive naturally, that's a game changer. Because if you don't know when you're ovulating, or if you don't know that you're ovulating at all, that's not going to help you.
What would you say to someone who's afraid of needles and still wants to consider acupuncture?
Can be a common one. And the number one thing I say is that they are as thin as your hair. They're flexible. And I've never seen one break off either because they are so flexible. And with a skilled practitioner, it's really a non event, meaning like some people come in with this fear that's out of this world. And then I put the needle in and they don't even know. I'm like, the needle's in. And they're like, oh, so it's quite anticlimactic. And even for those that are saying, Mary, I'm so stressed. I don't think I can relax. And like literally the needles are in, we put on the calm music, we dim the lights, and I put a little eye pillow on their little eyes and, warm little things on their hands and feet. And they're like passed out. So nothing to fear. And certainly in our practice, when we meet the person initially, we take time. We take a time to get the history. And that's part of the consultation. And it could take up to an hour before you even consider needling. So creating that trust and that rapport and that relationship helps you relax to even get the needle insertion.
What other bits of valuable advice do you have on ways to make things easier for anyone who's going through a fertility journey?
We all want to be in control. And when you're dealing with your career and in work, you work harder and you can get your results. But sometimes doing more and treating your fertility journey like a job like that by doing more may not necessarily get you the result that you want. So when people ask me, well, Mary, what more can I do? I often say, well, maybe there's something that you need to actually let go because it sounds like you're doing everything that like everything possible. So what else can you do? So it's beyond just a physical journey. So I love that you asked this question because people coming in for acupuncture can also just look at it like a strictly, needle here. And where is there a magic point that will get me pregnant and have that baby? And it's like, well, no, it doesn't work quite like that. And we need to look beyond the acupuncture and let's look into your life. How's your relationship with your husband? How's your relationship with your doctor? How are you at work? Are you getting stressed? Like looking at all aspects of your life and really treating you as a whole human in mind, body, and spirit so that your load will be lighter and you're more inspired and hopeful.
If someone wants to find your podcast, book, or your work, what do you do and how can they find you?
Well, you can go on myfertology.com, spelled Fertology. You can find me on Instagram at Meet Mary Wong. And my book is sold anywhere, everywhere. And if you are too busy to physically read the hard copy, it's on Audible and I narrated it. So you get to hear my lovely voice.
Is there anything else you want to share with our audience today?
Gosh, I've said it a lot, but I guess to wrap it up, again, if you're going to choose acupuncture, find the right health professional, make sure that they are qualified, and even better if they know about reproductive endocrinology. People that are ABORM members, ABORM.org, I believe is the website. You can find fertility acupuncturists through that website, and they are international, and I belong to that as well. And it's about not looking at acupuncture as trying to help that baby in the belly. I would prefer you to look at acupuncture and the whole system of Chinese medicine as part of your life so that no matter what happens, you can fall back and feel good about going there and honor your journey, set boundaries, know your limitations.
Mary, thank you so much for sharing so much about your own personal story, for sharing so many great stories in your book as well. I really enjoyed reading them, especially the story that you shared about your own fertility journey. I know people who pick up your book or listen to it are going to learn a lot that can hopefully help them as they embrace their pathway to pregnancy.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening and making the Egg Whisperer Show a part of your weekly routine. To find show notes and a full transcript for this episode, visit dramy.org and look under the blog tab. While you're there, you can find a link for the Egg Whisperer newsletter, which keeps you in the know about fertility news. You can also find Dr. Amy and the Egg Whisperer Show on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. If you'd like to learn even more, Dr. Amy offers classes at the Egg Whisperer School, eggwhispererschool.com, or you can request a consultation on dramy.org. Thank you so much for tuning in and for sharing the Egg Whisperer Show with others. Keep sparkling and have a great day.